Good evening.
Good evening.
So I might sound a little bit down because my voice has an issue at the moment, but I'll just go straight to point.
Okay.
So basically, I'll do a little recap of what I can remember. We started with design thinking,
Okay.
and we, we did that by defining what design thinking is. Do I have to define it, or I should just keep going?
No, no, no. Don't just keep going. Keep going.
Okay, so after that, we spoke about the steps of design thinking, where you empathize, then you define, then you ideate, you create the prototype, and then you test it. And sometimes you can always, or you basically could go through all the steps without actually going through the steps in a specific order, depending on how you want to go about the product you're working on or the application you're working on. And then after defining all of that, we went into conducting research and analyzing user needs. And it was explained that whenever you're conducting researches, you need to define your goals and specifically state what you intend on achieving in regards to the particular product you're working on. Excuse me. And while you're, defining your goals, it's ideal to pick the proper research methods. And then you went ahead to talk about the qualitative and the quantitative method and the attitudinal and the behavioral dimensions of making researches. Then we spoke about UX research methods. You mentioned interviews. You mentioned eye tracking. You mentioned field studies. You mentioned usability testing, and then you also made mention of focus groups. I think I missed a particular class, but I think that was the design thinking, empathizing, where you're making researches and also analyzing competitions in the aspect of what you're working on. Excuse me, sorry.
Sorry.
And
Sorry.
from there, we spoke about analyzing data, you know, going through key areas in documents, features, pricing, and also you made mention of positioning and flow test when making researches. And we spoke about competitor analysis as well. You spoke about how to go about this analysis using various principles and how these principles apply in our daily lives and in your role as a UX analyst or UX designer, my bad. And then we spoke about various principles which enable this whole competitor analysis to be conducted properly. And then from that, we went into design thinking, where you define and understand the users, where you try to create clarity from empathy, and specifically define problems that you find in your products based on target users, and also helps you, create a direction for your design. Then we spoke about the empathy map, the affinity diagram. We explained where all of this come into play, how this can be used to make your design, easy, user relative, and you know, how you can easily categorize and analyze your data in such a way that you can easily understand it, and someone else who basically sees this can easily understand and gain basic knowledge from the designs. We spoke about the affinity diagram. We spoke about the user persona as another method of defining or definition. We spoke about being able to represent key segments of your designs to your target audience while creating your user persona and aligning your designs, you know, with decisions that need to categorize your users' needs. So, in other words, whatever decision you make or whatever design you end up with, it has to be something that aligns with your user needs. We spoke about how to get an effective persona, tips on how to prepare them, and spoke about how to get personas for better coverage, and also how these personas are forms of user stories that describe a particular feature from the perspective of the users. I hope I was able to make sense of
Yes,
what's
yes,
done.
yes, you were. You were. I didn't realize we have done that much. But yeah, you
They
covered
have
everything.
actually.
Yeah, you covered everything. But I think you left out user stories. That was the very last thing we did last week. User stories for your
Okay, yes,
yeah.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Desmond. I hope you get better soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So like Desmond said, we have covered research. Research is part of the empathy. Empathize. That's the first step in the design thinking process. Yeah. So we covered empathy in the second week of this cohort. Then last week, which is the third week, we talked about define. We reviewed, talked about empathy maps, affinity maps, personas, user stories, which are all methods of definition, of defining. So this week we're going to continue with defining. There are still more methods that we can look at. And if you remember from what I said, the very first time we started the define stage of this design thinking, I said that the core goal or the main goal of the define stage is to get a clear problem statement, a very clear, concise, and precise problem statement. That's the main aim of the define stage. Yes, we are going to when we have defined our data from the research, we are still going to use it in other steps, but the core goal of this define stage is to get us a clear problem statement. So most of us, the tasks I gave, I asked for problem statements. I was seeing some people gave me paragraphs and long text and a long, just like a really, really long note. But your problem statement should be very, very concise, should be very straight to the point, should be very clear, should be something that you would see, and as soon as you see it, you already know the path you're following. You shouldn't have a lot of information. Remember, you're defining research. Research is already the lot of information. You're trying to make the information as underwhelming as possible, not overwhelming. So most of the critique I gave or the comments I dropped on the tax that you guys did last week was the wrong format. I gave the format for problem statement, and we're still going to get into it this week. Yeah, so for this class today, we're going to talk about user journey mapping. Like empathy map, affinity map, user journey map is also one of the methods of definition of defining our research data. Then our next class would discuss problem statements in proper problem statements properly, how to get or how to write your problem statement properly. So for this class, we're going to be discussing user journey maps. That is, in simple terms, visualizing the user experience. Like the term implies, user and journey, just and the map. It just simply says you are mapping the journey of your user. A user, meaning the person is using your product. Their journey, like the journey of them using your product basically. And you are mapping. That's the whole idea of user journey map. You are visualizing the user experience. You are basically following them in their steps. Let's say you're going on a journey, maybe by foot, and you're wearing a pair of shoes. So now you as the UI designer, just imagine yourself as the shoes, following the user, being the person on whatever journey they are going to. So that's the whole idea of the user journey map. Yeah. So now, like I've said before, a successful user experience design is rooted in empathy. The best designers are able to step into their user's shoes and imagine what they think, feel, and experience as they interact with the product or service. So this is the very first thing I said in the empathy stage, in the research stage, in the whole reason why we spend a lot of time in research. Most of the people that did that in their stage one task, most of the people that didn't go in depth in their research or didn't give it as much effort or as much time, they're having problems with their empathy map. They're having problems with their personas because they did not get that information. They did not empathize with the users. So that research stage was very, very important. Was very, very important. And that was the task that a lot of us failed. And I had to regrade and regrade and regrade and regrade just so that I'm sure that everybody did it to their best ability before promoting them to the next stage. So that's what I'm saying. Successful UX design is rooted in empathy. Your research, it's one of the most important stages of the whole design process. It's what informs everything you're going to do. If you do not get enough information at this stage, you won't have enough information when you're designing. One of the most effective ways to foster user empathy and consider different perspectives is to create user journey maps, otherwise known as customer journey maps, from your research data. So now a customer journey map is a visual representation of how a user interacts with your product. So it maps out the steps they go through to complete a specific task or to achieve a particular goal. For example, purchasing a product from an e-commerce website or creating a profile on a dating application. So now, a user that is coming to an e-commerce website, I want to purchase a product, but I do not know where to purchase it from. So now, you as a UX designer are creating a user journey map. You start asking yourself, where does their journey begin? Now, you are the designer with a product, an e-commerce website. Then you have a target user somewhere, wherever they are, wanting to purchase a product. So now, where does the journey begin? Where does the attachment or the binding or the bond between your product and the user, like where did they come? How did they come in contact with your product at the very first instance? That's the beginning of the journey. That's the beginning of their journey. Where does their journey begin? That question you should be asking yourself here. What is their first point of interaction with the product? For an e-commerce website, their first point of interaction might be in Play Store, where they might download it. You have Jimmy on Play Store, so their first point of interaction here is Play Store. It could also be in Google Chrome as a link, maybe the website on yeah, the website, not the application. So their first point of interaction now might be at in Google Chrome. Another first point of interaction might be Facebook. Maybe they're scrolling through Facebook, they see an ad, and they have this product in mind that they want to buy, and they see your ad, and they decide, okay, let me click on this link. So that's their first point of interaction. So I think the journey is beginning, yes, but in different places. So that's are the different scenarios we are taking into account here. So, what actions and steps do they take to reach their end goal? Their end goal here is to purchase a product from your website or from your application. So, what actions and steps do they take? First of all, they might decide to log in, then browse products, compare prices before they purchase a product. So, these are different steps, different actions they're taking. This is their whole journey from finding your product to using your product So, and how do they feel at each stage? How do they feel when you are scrolling on Facebook and you see a an ad about of an e-commerce website and the price is it's very affordable. It's quite cheap. How do they feel at this stage? First of all, they might be distrustful. They might not trust you enough at this especially at this first point of interaction. They might be hesitant. Like why is it so cheap? Is it a scam? So this is just the visual representation of how the cost of how a user or a customer interacts with your product. You start small. The very first time they see your product, how they use your product, at the end, even their loyalty, like how how convinced are they by your products that they can refer someone to use your product or can refer you to refer your product to someone rather. So these are all the questions you can ask with a user journey map, or these are all the questions you answer by creating a user journey map. So it outlines the steps customers take at every stage of their interaction, helping designers to predict behavior, anticipate needs, and direct responses effectively. Let's say you have a product in mind, probably the solution that you have thought about to whatever problem you identified in your stage one task. You have a product that you want to design or you want to create, you want to develop. So now creating a user journey map for this product, it helps designers to predict behavior. How? By the time you're able to analyze each step or each stage that users would interact with your product, how they meet your product, how they use your product, um, how your product satisfies them. When you have had all this down, you have seen the loopholes or you have analyzed each stage properly. It helps to predict behavior because at every point in time that someone is using your product, they'll be stuck at one stage of your product, of one stage that you have already analyzed in your user journey map. Let's say you have 20 users at a particular point in time, 20 users. Some might be at the login stage, some might be at the purchasing stage, some might have added a product to their cart. So once you have accounted for all these stages of the user journey map, it helps you to predict behavior and anticipate needs. You have realized that for the logging in process, people do not like ads. They don't like the login process to be too long, or they don't like answering too many questions. It might be discouraging when you have to answer too many questions. So it gives you an opportunity to do something better. Okay, let's make it shorter. So now you're predicting behavior, predicting something that will happen at this stage of a user journey. You're anticipating their needs. What would they need? And it helps you to direct responses effectively. So even before you actually start designing, you're already thinking about how to direct, how to respond to that need that the user would have when they actually start using your product. So why do we create user journey maps? Of the things I've been saying since, I feel like the value of journey maps is very obvious at this point. So creating user journey maps, first of all, they help to center the end user and foster empathy. So we are centering the end user. They are our point of target. They are our POV. They are our main focus. It's like making someone so special that they are designing an application and analyzing each stage of interaction between them and your product. So we are centering them because they are our target users. We are user experience designers. We are designing for their experience. So creating customer journey maps help us to do that. It also helps to expose pain points in the user experience and uncover design opportunities. Like I said, I gave the example about the login process. So now a pain point here now clearly identified is too much information required at the login process. It's too stressful. You want to buy something, you don't want to start answering millions of questions. So it uncovers a design opportunity here. You can simply make the questions shorter. So you can even make it possible for people to browse your application without having to go through all that login hassle. Sometimes the most e-commerce platform now what they do now is the first time you download their applications, you don't even log in. When they prompt you to log in is when you have decided, okay, I want to buy this. Then you click on a product to buy it. Then they now prompt you to log in. So now at this point when you have already decided to buy a product from them, you're already committed. You already have trust in them. So filling a login form or filling a long form it does not seem that stressful enough because you have attained your goal. Rather than stressing the person to log in and fill the whole form and do all that process before they even actually see any product or even see if the application is what they want what they want in their phone or what they want to patronize over and over. So and it gets all key stakeholders aligned. So this captures the essence of UI UX designers in companies in industries. I usually give us examples as freelancers and as product designers in a company environment. So when we create user journey maps, most of the time when we're analyzing the data, we're not the ones dishing out the money or the resources or the funding for these applications. So we are the one doing the research, and we have to keep the stakeholders aligned. We have to let them know what are we actually building. So user journey map is also a method of doing this. Like I said before in definition, research, your user research or the research you have conducted will be very overwhelming. It's a lot of information. Like some people sending me the spreadsheets of their user research survey. There's a lot of information. I might not know where to start if I'm just a random normal person. Like what am I supposed to do with all this information? But simply creating a user journey map, it gives everybody an idea of okay, these are the places, these are the key places our users will interact with our product, and these are places that we should probably put in effort to make better. A key place that we can talk about here is the first point of interaction with product. We talked about Play Store when I gave that example, we talked about Play Store, we talked about Google, we talked about Facebook ads. So now when you create a user journey map and you have identified that some key touch where users become aware of our products are Facebook ads, Play Store and Google Chrome. So now when you show your stakeholders this, the CEO this, it tells them where they should channel their money into for ads creation, for ads. Now they can put more money into Play Store to boost their products. They can put more money into Facebook ads so it can show up more on people's feeds. So this is the whole idea. It keeps stakeholders aligned because now everybody has an idea of how the user is interacting with their product. It's now a more visual process. So now we now know that at this first stage, at this first point that they're interacting with our product, the awareness stage rather, users are usually hesitant. They are distrustful. They are not sure about our application. So what can we do in here? We can add things like reviews because now we have analyzed this thing deeply and we have realized that these are the key emotions, the thoughts and the feelings that users are feeling at this of their journey with our product. Now we now identify opportunities and know where to fill in. So this is a journey map. It's um it's a method that is used in both design and outside design. It's more than just user experience. We're talking about customer experience because it's in some user journey maps it encompasses the totality of the product. It's a key method that product managers use, not just product designers. Now, creating a user journey map requires you to step into the end user's shoes and experience the product from their perspective. They are both visual and concise, making them an effective communication tool. They don't just highlight things, but can also inspire new ideas and opportunities. So when do we create user journey maps? We have seen empathy map, we have seen affinity maps, we have seen personas, we have seen user stories, we have seen now we have seen user journeys, user journey maps. When do we create them? Because sometimes when you have a lot of methods to use or a lot of influx of terminologies, yeah, you get confused. When are you using when? Is the same defining you're defining? Are you supposed to use all of them or are you supposed to just use one? So like I've said before, depending on your goal or depending on your product, it lets you know which of the defined steps you should be using. So for this user journey map, they're ideally created before the ideation stage. You might create it after the ideation stage, but they are usually ideally created before the ideation stage because they are part of the defining process. So before developing ideas, you might want to visualize them in action, mapping out potential user journeys to test their validity. But it can also be useful at different stages of the product design process. So now, before you actually start using user journey maps, before you actually start ideating or talking about features like drawing what you want to design, putting it on paper. User journey maps gives you a holistic idea. It helps you visualize the product in action. So ideation is more detail oriented. You might be ideating for might be ideating how your home screen might look like. But user journey maps, user journey maps link your home screen to your profile, to your settings, because it's describing the user's journey. First thing they land on the home screen, they click on search to search for the particular product that they want to find. They click on filter to filter products and compare prices. They click on add to cart. So this is a user journey. This is a user journey, or rather, some people might also term it as a user flow. But we'll get into user flow better in the ideation stage. There's a bit, is a little difference between a user journey map and a user flow. I'll get into that later. So if sometimes, like ideally they are created before the ideation stage, or sometimes you might have a finished product that you want to review, optimize, or completely redesign. You can create journey maps to visualize how your users are currently interacting with the product, helping you to identify pain points and inform the next iteration of the product. So, like I said, nothing is fixed here. You can use it at any stage. It might be added to a product at when it's almost done, when the product is almost done. So you're already with a finished product and you need to review it. So now you as a designer, you're trying to decide, okay, is this perfect enough? Should we go ahead with implementing this? And you create a user journey map. Identify if each pain point at each key stage has been identified or has been worked on or has been satisfied. Yeah. Now, elements of a user journey map. What should be in a user journey map? Elements. I like to break this thing down. We talked about elements of a user persona. It's about elements of what is the empathy map. But some people, I don't know, some people sent me I don't know where they got their information, but their tags. I was seeing random things. I don't know whether it was from ChatGPT, from somewhere else. Empathy map is simply says, thinks, does, and feels. But I'm seeing pain points, goals, and different other things. So I like to give elements so we're not lost because there's a lot of information in the internet and you can see a lot of things everywhere. So now, no two user journey maps are the same. You can adapt the structure and content of your maps to build your needs. But as a rule, user journey maps should include the following. One, a user persona. Now we have already touched what a user persona is. Ideally, you would have to base your user journey maps on a specific user persona. that has been created using real user research data. Keyword here is real. They're giving me a fake user persona. Please do it well. Because some submissions were very funny. So your user persona should be based on the real research you have conducted, not just random things, not assumptions. When you start assuming at the persona stage, your whole design will be based on assumptions. In the end, you're going to create a product that works for you, but might not work for the people you are creating it for. So let's try our best not to start assuming. You have already done the research. If you did it well, use the information gotten from the research. Do not start assuming. Do not start faking things or forging information. So after you have your user persona down, now you should have the specific scenario or the journey that the user persona is that the user persona is going through that you want to map. So this specific journey describes the goal or task the journey map is conveying. In other words, this is the scenario in which the user finds themselves in. The third one is the user expectation. The goal of a user journey map is to see things from your end user's perspective. So it's useful to define what their expectations are as they complete the task you're depicting. So first things first, these three elements, it's usually at the top of your user journey map. At the top. They are not in the map per se, but they're actually at the top. You add the picture of the persona and their name. Then a specific scenario. Specific scenario could be a user story. It could just be a user journey. Like what is their goal for using this application? For the e-commerce website you're talking about, I want to buy a product. That is my scenario. That is my goal. That's the main goal I want to achieve. So now your scenario, your journey should surround this goal, should be about this goal. Then your user expectations. What's my expectation of using this application? What's the expectation I have in mind? Like what is what is my goal basically? You can now reiterate what you were pointing at in your scenario or in your journey. What is the expectations you're expecting from from this journey? I want to have purchased a product. I want to purchase a product easily and seamlessly from this application. That could be your expectation. And they're expecting something simple and intuitive without hassle. That could be their expectations. If it's a let's say it's a cooking application where you add recipes and stuff. The expectation now is I want to see easy recipes that can be filtered easily by budget or whatever, and be able to cook with the recipe and have food for myself. That's an expectation. So depending on the scenario and user persona, what are their expectations? If you want us to go back to the Desmond persona we created in last class, Desmond persona that has issues with complicated spreadsheets and tracking. Now, what is his expectation? He wants something simple and intuitive that he can use to track his finances so he can always be afloat financially. That is expectation. So, other elements now, you have the high level stages or the phases. So, this is the key stages I've been mentioning when I talked about, when I gave the scenario of awareness, the first time they met your product, the first time they encountered your product, purchase, um, if at any situation they have used your product and they want to buy something, they want to finally purchase. So this is a purchase is a very key, is very a very key is a very key very important stage. Important enough that we have to give it a column or a category. So there are different depending on what product you are building, you can personalize. these stages depending on your particular product. The stages might be wide, the stages might be very detailed. So, for example, the example given here is for a hotel website. So, discover is almost similar to awareness, but not really the same thing. So, now discover is when the user discovers your website. So, this is a key stage. This is a key stage of the user journey. First things first, they are discovering your website. So, now research. They have Now they are now in your website and they are researching your website. They are browsing for different hotel options. So you name this key stage research. Then after research, compare. Here the user weighs up different options. So this compare is important enough because most people, when you have for something like hotel hotel bookings, you probably have to compare different rooms with different prices, with different specs and different options. So you have to compare before you make up your mind and decide to purchase. So now discover, research, compare, purchase. You have identified that these four stages are the key high level stages that users are encountering when journeying with your product. So usually these high level stages would form the column of your user journey map. So user journey map is done like a table. I just want us to visualize it. We are still going to look into it and try to see what we can do, but visualize it with me. So the high level stages will form the column of your user journey map. So now for the rows, you have the touch point. So within each high level phases, you will note down all the touch points the user comes across and interacts with. For example, the website's homepage, the customer service agent, and the checkout page. So for the awareness example I gave before, where I talked about the e-commerce website, when I mentioned Play Store, I mentioned Facebook ads, I mentioned Google Chrome. So these are touch points. These are places that we're actually interacting with, where we can find these high level stages, touch points. Like the word implies touch and point. So for actions now, for each stage, it also map out the individual actions the user is taking. This includes things like applying filters, filling out user details, and submitting payment information. Now for the awareness stage I gave before, let's say in Play Store now, actions they might take here is comparing, comparing different e-commerce platform they see by reading reviews. So these are actions they are taking at that first stage of awareness, or that high level phase of discover. Applying filters. This is you can apply this action in, let's say, in the research stage of this hotel case I gave before. So now the user is browsing different hotel options. Now for actions that will be taken in this stage are things like applying filters. So they would apply filters maybe by price. They'll filter options by price. I only want to see hotels at this price ranges, or filter by location. I only want to see hotels close to me. So now by the time you are thinking about this in such detail, analyzing actions of individual actions of the users, you start identifying opportunities and things we can improve. So another element is thoughts. What is the user thinking at this stage? What question do they have? For example, why can't I filter by location? So now, if at all they interact with your product, and for the hotel, they can filter by price, but they want something close to them, and they can't filter by location. So these are the thoughts they might be having. We all did thoughts in the empathy map, so we know the way our users are thinking. Why can't I filter by location? It gives you an opportunity. It identifies an opportunity for you to improve. Create Make sure that in this product, at this key stage of the user journey map, there should be an option to filter by location. Emotions, how does the user feel at each stage? This includes things like frustration, confusion, uncertainty, excitement, and joy. Example I gave before, when they see your Facebook ads, the first thing, they are uncertain, they are hesitant, they are distrustful. Because these are the emotions that are going through them, or this is the emotions at this stage. So now, as an opportunity, you can find a way to, how are we going to tackle this emotion? How are we going to make them more certain? How are we going to alleviate their fears? So pinpoint a brief note on any hurdles and points of friction the users encounters at each stage. An opportunity, like I've been saying before, based on everything you have captured in your user journey map so far, what opportunities for improvement have you encountered? So the opportunities section turns your user journey map into something actionable. So it's now from your opportunity section that you now start, okay, I have this is the opportunities, these are opportunities for me in this product. So now I can start ideating. It also helps to give a level of importance to your product, because most of us, we're just thinking of problems and solutions, and we're not really sure if our users, if they are necessary, or if they're what our users want. So by the time we have encountered these opportunities and we have identified real pain points, real thoughts, real emotions, so the opportunity, so we can work on the opportunities. Sorry, can everybody hear me clearly? Is it only AJ? And please let me know if you can hear me clearly. Yes, AJ and Jovita, please, I think you should increase your volume. Okay, all right. So we are at the, hold on. Okay, Namaka, your camera is switched on. Okay, all right, now I'll try to speak louder. Let's move forward. So yeah, this is just an example of a user journey map. This is how it looks. This is the user persona. This is their name. You can add a little details like their age. Then this is the scenario. This is scenario describing possibly what goal, or this is the journey, the scenario, the journey scenario. Like, what are they trying to do? What's this mapping, this journey you're trying to map now? What scenario is it? It could be a scenario of trying to purchase a product. So expectations, what are they expecting? They're expecting something smooth and seamless, simple and intuitive. That's the expectations. So for this journey map here, they used assess, choose, share, and reserve as their high level stages. So high level stages can differ depending on what product you are building. So now for this product here, this could be for maybe a restaurant, a digital application for reserving at a restaurant, reserving seats, or reserving places at a restaurant. So you have access, how they access your product, probably via Play Store or your your website's landing page, choose how they can choose between different options, filter and search. This is share. They want to share the link to other people, then reserve. Oh no, this is just whatever product you're building to have its own high level stages usually. So there's the common one that we use, which I will get into as we move forward. But depending on your product, you might want to personalize it a little. So you have the touch points, actions, pain points, emotions, opportunities. So this is just to show you what I was talking about, where I said the high level stages, they form the column of your empathy map, while the other ones form the roles, touch points. So the actions, the pain points, the emotions, and the opportunities. The reason for this is that the touch points, we are looking for touch points at each stages. These are high level stages. They're encompassing everything. Actions at each stage and the same for others. So steps to create a user journey map. We have talked about the elements, talked about when to create them. I've talked about why do we create them. So now how do we create them? What are the steps to creating a user journey map? Yeah. So the first one is to choose a user journey map template. So now you can create this template yourself, or you can just get one from Miro, from Lucid Chat, from Canva. So it's can be easily gotten from Canva. You can easily design yourself, it yourself. By the time we get into Figma properly, we should be able to design this yourself. Especially when you're doing your case study, you should design it yourself. So yes, the easiest way to create a user journey map is to fill in a ready-made template. Yeah. So tools like Miro, Lucid Chat, Canva all offer customer journey maps that you can fill in directly, customize to make your own. That's the first step. So now the step two is to define your persona and the scenario. So everything that we're going to say here, we have already said it when we we're discussing the elements of your user persona. We are going to define the persona you're using and the scenario you're visualizing. So determine which user persona would feature in your journey map and what scenario you are in they are in. In other words, what goal or task are they trying to complete? Add details of your persona and the scenario at the top of your user journey map. Please, can I talk about step one again? Okay. So I said step one is to first of all find a template, get a template. So you can either create the template yourself, like I showed you in the list. It's as simple as column and rows. So you can get the template from tools like Canva. If you just type user journey maps on Canva, you will see a lot of options that you can use. Then just customize and change some things and start filling the information in. So by template, I'm not telling you, I'm not saying that it will give you the details of the user journey map. It's going to just give you a framework. It's going to give you the visuals, how it looks like. But what you fill in the user journey map, what you type in, the actual insight or the actual journey of your user, you're the one going to write it down. You're the one create. You're the one writing, filling that in. So the step one, you're supposed to get a template. You can create a template yourself, or you can outsource and get one from Canva, from Myro. You can get one from Figma community. Mm. So we'll get into that properly later. Step two, define your persona and the scenario. Define which persona are we creating a journey for. You might have two personas, or you might have, like I said, preferably create one persona per product. It makes it easier to design because you just have um one person. So it's not just one person, one subset basically. But you have one persona in your head that you're creating for, which you can always link up to or just always make a mind link that this is the person I'm creating for. Will they like this? So now, first of all, you're going to define your persona and the scenario that you are creating a journey map for. Scenario here is the journey. Remember, it's user journey map. So use the persona and the journey, the scenario. What journey are you actually describing, or are you actually mapping? So in step two, you determine what goal, what task that your user persona is trying to complete. What is their ultimate? It could be their ultimate goal. It could also be tiny little goals or tiny little tasks. Let me see, tiny little. So add details of your persona and scenario at the top of your user journey map. So this is where I went back and said, this is your user persona, this is the name, and this is the scenario, and this is expectations. So just be at the top of your user journey map. It's to just give the whoever is looking at this, give them insight into what you're actually describing. Like the problem I had with a lot of submissions for our user research, when I asked for a research summary, I asked for a research summary of your user survey or your user interview, and with key insights. A lot of you, more than 50%, just give me key insights or just jumped into giving me the research data. But first, when you are, you have to give someone a background idea of what you're talking about. You can't just give me key insight like this is better with this. I'm lost. What are you talking about? What is the problem? That's why I gave a lot of corrections that you're supposed to write your problem that you have identified. The task was to identify a problem and think of a solution, a technological solution. So the first thing you're supposed to write is your problem. What problem did you identify in your environment? And what is the solution that you are offering or you are profiling or you are suggesting? What's the solution? So that's why the two key things that so it gives you an understanding of what exactly are you researching on. Because you can't just give me research data when I don't know what you are researching on. It doesn't make sense. So the same thing as this. You can't just give someone a journey map when they don't know who the journey map is for or what the journey is about. So start with your user persona and the scenario. You have to give context to these things. That's for step two. Now, step three, outline the key stages, actions, and touch points. Like I've said before, key stages. These are the key stage that our users are interacting with our products. So common high level phases used include this is the most common one. We have awareness, like I've been saying before. This is when a user becomes aware of your product. Awareness, that's the first one. Then consideration. So now they are aware of your product in the first. It doesn't mean they want to use it or they see a need for it. They're just aware of it. The consideration is now when they are considering your product. It could be consideration when it could be them comparing your product with other products to see which plan is better or which subscription is better. That's the consideration stage. It's like they are moving in different phases. And the next phase is decision. So now they have decided, okay, let's subscribe to this product or let's actually use this product. Let's download this product. That's the decision phase. Now they have decided to use this product or purchase this product. Then you have service. Service is now when they are interacting with your product, they have paid for it and now the product is serving them. That's the service phase. Then the last one is advocacy or loyalty rather. Now when a product have served them and served them well, they will advocate for it, they would refer it to people. Something does you well, it's always be the first thing you recommend to someone else that's having this a similar issue with you or has the same need as you. So these are key stages, and at each key stage there are different touch points. Touch point, like I said before, is how we interact or how we identify each phase, the touch point. Then actions that we take at each phases. So now you need to outline key stages in your product. You need to outline the touch points in your product. You need to outline the actions of your product for step three. So now this the key stages, like I've said before, would form the column, and things like the touch points and the actions would form rows. After that, the next one is to fill in the user's thoughts, their emotions, and their pain points. So everything here is just deriving from the elements that we mentioned before. Step four is now to fill in their thoughts, their emotions, and their pain points. Yeah. Now, for the example I gave you for a dating application in the awareness phase. So now, the first stage here, this is five high level phases. So now we're in the awareness phase. The thoughts they're having here in awareness phase is, I've never used online dating before, but maybe I should give this app a try. So this is their thoughts in the awareness phase. So the touch point, maybe the touch point was the Facebook ad. That was the touch point. The action here was maybe scrolling through Facebook, checking for reviews on for dating application reviews on YouTube and some TikTok or Twitter or wherever. Then their thoughts here. This is where thoughts comes into play. Thoughts in this awareness phase when they have just been aware that this product or this application exists. Is I've never used online dating before, but maybe I should give this application a try. So this is their thoughts. What are their emotions here? They are both interested and hesitant. So they have not used it before, so they're a bit skeptical and hesitant, but they're actually interested because they want to see what it offers to them. So point while looking for blog articles and reviews, the user struggles to find anything helpful or credible. So now, for someone that is both interested and hesitant, what they would usually typically do is to look for reviews and articles on that your application or on your product to see if it would actually give them what they want because they are interested, but there's still some they're still a bit skeptical. And if you remember what I said in the action phase, they went to YouTube and TikTok to look for reviews. So now a pain point that can arise here is in this awareness phase is that while looking for reviews on your products, they don't find anything helpful or credible. An opportunity you can identify here is to make sure that reviews and blog articles are available in probably your company website. So that is where you identify opportunities from. So that's for step four. Step five, identify opportunities, like I've already said. So now it's time to turn your user pain point into opportunities. So in the dating app example, you might start to feature more dating app success stories on the company blog. So frame your opportunities as action points and as a bonus, clearly state who will be responsible for implementing them. So this is why you said that sometimes this user journey map is more than just the UI or the UX designer creating. It's more holistic. It's more of customer experience. It's more of a job of a product manager, not a product designer. Because for let's say for the awareness phase now, when you're talking about ads, we found that Facebook ad is one of the touch points, and we want to we have relayed that information to the stakeholders, and here or the opportunity here is to make more ads. So now that's ads are not the job of a UX designer. Yes, we are the ones to find that look the opportunities, but they're not jobs. So sometimes an extra row on the journey map is hmm, responsible for implementing the opportunity. So it's fine, the name is position. So for this now, where you're talking about articles and online, you can simply write the Person that will be responsible for this are probably text writer or the company blog writers. Mm. So the last step now is to define action points and next steps. To define action points and next steps, you have identified your emotions, your thoughts, their pain points, and all that. And you have gotten an opportunity. So now you have to define your action point and what's your next step. Which of this are you implementing? What are you doing next? The user journey maps are great for getting you to see things from your user's perspective. They create a shared understanding around how different users experience your product. Once your user journey map is complete, be sure to share it with all stakeholders and talk them through the most relevant insights. And most importantly, turn those insights into clear action points. Which opportunities will you tap into and who will be involved? How will your user journey map inform the evolution of your product? And what are your next steps? So this is where you actually use the journey map to define your action, your next action or the next steps. Could be the ideating, it could be the prototyping or whatever. It could not even be in design. Sometimes maybe the opportunity that you would find or the opportunity you would see out, but not what a designer is supposed to do, but other other fields or other subset of the company. That's why I say it's more of the customer experience. Like it's the totality of the product experience rather. So these are the 6 steps. I included some user journey map examples. So like I said, it differs for different products. It differs for different products, depending on the product that you are creating. So now for this now, the high level stages are awareness, you have search, you have download, you have installation, you have use, you have support, and you have review. So now this is a journey map that does not go into features or real details. Slide 5. Do you mean steps 5? Joyce, yeah, Joyce, I'll get back to you during the question and answers. Hold on. So now you have download, you have installation, you have use, you have support, and you have review. Yeah. So your user goals. So user goals are also similar to what I talked about before, the expectations. So what are the expectations or what are their goals is to carry out a task. Search, they want to find a solution. The download, they want to get the application. Installation, they want to install and set up the application quickly. Use, they want to carry out the tasks easily with the application. Support, they want to get answers to their questions. Review, they want to rate the application. So activities or rather actions here. So now for this user, in the awareness stage is when they realize the problem that they have. So now they have realized they have a problem. Then they search Google for solutions. Download, they find the application, goes to the store to download. Installation, they use the features, then they look up support in case they have questions and they review it. So touch points and channels are just different. I don't want to go into details because it will take a lot of our time, but it's just touch points. Like I said, the website where people can do download. They can download on the website and download on Play Store, on App Store. Installation, they'll see the welcome screen and the onboarding screen after installing it. In use, what are their touch points when using the product? The app screens. That's the screens of the applications. So pain points you can identify now is that in the search stage of their user journey, you might see too many options. And when you see too many options, you might wonder, are you supposed to start clicking on everything and downloading everything? I usually have this problem when I'm looking for an application. I go download like five of them because I don't know which one would work for me. I would download the five, and I would have to use the five of them, then end up deleting four and leaving the best. The pain point here is too many options, and you want to know how the product would work. So opportunities here is that you can try to rank better in Google, SEO optimization. You can ads so that your product come up first in a search result with probably higher ratings. So people can just from only that can deduce that okay, this product would be better because it has been reviewed more or because it is higher is highly ranked by Google. So how to know what will work? You can give more details on the product, provide more context on benefits in the search results. So that's that for this user journey map. Another example, the stage they use here is awareness, consideration, decision, and delight. So this is just decision when they have decided to use the product, then delight. Delight now when they have used the product and they are delighted with the product, and of course they would refer the product to people. So this is different touch points. This one is this is customer process identifies actions. What actions are they taking here in these different stages at these different touch points probably. The experience could be their experience or it could be their emotions or their thoughts. Yeah. So stage this one they flipped it. The stages are the roles and the actions, touch points, pain points, and solutions are the columns. But it's still the same idea. Awareness, they discover the application. Awareness, like I've said before, onboarding, create an account and set preferences. So this one, the stages are also different. So here is awareness. They have realized that an application exists. Onboarding, they have downloaded the application and they are using it. Then engagement, they are engaging with the application. Perhaps whatever the application is doing, they're engaging with it. From onboarding, that's onboarding is like welcoming them to the application. Now they're actually engaging with the application. They are using the application. And habit formation, using the application has become a habit for them, basically. Then you have community interaction. So it just depends on what key stage you can identify in any product that you are analyzing or any product you are trying to create. What are the key stages that your products, your users or your user persona will be interacting with? And that's what you use to create your journey map. Most of the time, this part would be the same. It's all about touch points, their actions, their emotions, their thoughts, the pain points, and opportunities. But the stage might differ depending on what product you are creating it for. So, in summary, the first step, choose the journey map template, or you can create your own. Two, define your persona and the scenario that you are creating. Three, outline key stages, touch points, and actions. So, what are the key stages? What are the touch points for those stages? And what are the actions happening during those stages at those touch points? Four, feeling the user's thoughts, emotions, and pain points. Five, identify opportunities. And six, define action points and next steps. So that's the summary of how to create a user journey map. Do we have questions? The chat room is open for questions. Joyce, if you still have a problem, you can speak up now.
Okay. Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Okay, ma. Sorry, please. I don't know this question. I think it should be a kind of private question. I don't know if it's something I can ask here right now.
Okay, is it a question about the class?
Yes, the previous one, the task we did.
Okay, just hold on a little. When I'm done with question about this task, then I'll get back to you. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so questions. I'm looking for questions before we try out the user journey map. Any more questions, or are we clear on everything?
So,
Okay, Desmond, let me hear from you.
so I'd like to know, are touch points and actions under high level stages or the are standpoints on their own?
No, no, they are standpoints on their own. They make up the roles. No, they are not. They are not high level stages.
All right, thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Okay. Any other question? Any other question? No question.
Hello, ma. Please.
Okay. Let
Sorry.
me hear.
Okay.
Okay.
Ma, please. Can you explain this high level phases a little bit more because it's confusing. The the sub the headings or I don't know what we have on that like the discover, research, compare and purchase. I'm thinking the purchase should come after like you've done every other thing. The purchase should be the last. So it's kind of confusing. I don't really understand
Okay.
that part.
Okay. But for the example you cited, purchase is the last. Why is it confusing you?
Okay, because it's all of them. We have all of them under elements. So that's why it's
Okay.
a
Oh,
bit
okay.
confusing.
All right. Let me just So elements just lets you know what, like, in the whole framework of a journey map, like what is supposed to be in a journey map. Like that's what elements tells you. It's what makes it up. Element of something. What makes up a journey map? Yeah. So doesn't mean everything are together. So when the let me go back to that. Yeah. Yeah, so in the elements, I talked about the user persona, the scenario, and user expectation. So I just want you to categorize this in your head. From the picture I attached here, the user persona, the scenario, and the expectations will be found here at the top of the journey map. Mm. So that's elements. So it's still as an element as others are elements, but they are serving different purposes. This is to give the journey map a context so people can understand what journey are you mapping, what scenario, and what users are you mapping it for. So expectations also gives you an idea of what the pain points are because via these expectations or by the expectations of your users, it gives you an idea that this if something doesn't work this way I'm expecting, I would probably be aggrieved or I'll probably be frustrated. So it identifies pain points. So it gives you the whole context of the journey map. These are for the first three elements. So now the next element now the high level stages or the phases. So this is basically the key stages that a user is interacting with your product. The key stages that a user is interacting with your product. Yeah. So now for the example that is here is a hotel website where you can book a hotel to sleep or to live in, whatever you want to use the hotel for. So now you have this idea in your head that I'm creating a website for a hotel where people can book hotel rooms. So in my head or in from the research I've done, from the analysis I've done, if I'm to put myself in my target user's shoes, I just think of the most abstract person or the most um the person is someone that just very far off. So the person has not heard about your product. Person is a random individual that probably wants to go on a business trip in a new place and needs a place to stay for 5 days or for 3 days, however long they want to stay. Yeah. So now this person goes to Google and types hotels close to whatever location they are traveling for the business trip. Now this is the awareness phase. This is a high. It identifies a key stage here. Awareness. Now the person was a random individual that that had no idea that your company exists. But now by typing on Google search, which is the action they are taking, they're identifying that they are realizing that okay, there is this hotel that I can book on their website. I do not have to go there physically and pay money physically. I can just pay money digitally and a room for myself. That's the key stage that you have identified. Okay, I can already imagine this person now. That's just like the person now you have created in your head. Just imagine them there. They pick up their phone, they go to Google, and they find your website on Google as a search result. So this is the awareness stage or the discover, like they said here. So now they click on your website and they start researching. They start browsing different. They click on your website, and what they do, they start scrolling. Okay, different hotel rooms, seeing different things. So I just want you to just imagine this scenario. Now they're on your website and they're looking at different rooms. So research, the user browses different research options. So this is a high level stage research. It's high level meaning that why we call it high level is because all other things, the touch points, the actions, the pain points, the emotions and the opportunities are on it's under it. That's why I say it's high level, it's encompassing all these things. So for the research, there's some actions you can see here is scrolling through the website, using filters to find different hotel options, using the search bar. These are actions they are actions that are being done at this research high level stage. Yeah. So pain points here now you can now think of pain points. Let's say this is we have already identified that this is a person on a business trip that is willing to trust your product and pay for a hotel room digitally. But now they're on your website and the pictures are not clear enough. The pictures do not look real. or there are not enough pictures. So this is a pain point because they are frustrated. They want to they want to um they want to use your product, but you are not meeting them back. You're not giving them what they want, which is giving them the option to use another product or go or start all over to look for a different hotel. So this is a pain point you can identify in the research high level stage. So emotions here now you see things like frustration, curiosity because they are researching, they are curious to find out what's there. Frustration because of probably it's not the research options are not arranged well, the pictures are not clear enough. Those are emotions you can see there. And opportunities now, from the pain point of the fact that those are not clear enough, you can identify an opportunities that make sure for each hotel room should be snapped in different angles. Pictures should be taken in different angles. Maybe there should be a customer support option that you can just click call and talk to and confirm details. So this is one stage or this is one high level stage. That's the research. But we're able to get the different other phases. That's the touch points, the actions, the pain points, emotions, and the opportunities under it. Yeah. So I hope that explains why research is a high level stage and touch point is not a high level stage. Joyce, are you with me?
Yes, ma, I am. Yes,
So
I understand
that is
better now.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So any other question? Any other question before we round off? Okay. Now, in the absence of any other question, before we end this class, I just want us to have a more hands-on interaction with the user journey map. So this is a template for Miro. Miro is an application that you can use for brainstorming, for whiteboarding, for not prototyping, sorry, for sketching. Yeah. So this is a template now. You have the phases here. So depending on, so this is a journey map for users who are cooking recipes online or looking for cooking recipes online to prepare some quick meals. So now you have your context here. You know they didn't include the persona, the expectations, and the scenario. Okay, this is the scenario easily. So this is a user journey map for users who are looking for cooking recipes online to prepare some quick meals. So this is the context of this whole journey. Yeah. So, so depending on this context, you can now decide what your high level stages would be. What your high level stages should be. Okay, since let's make this interactive. Um, unmute your mic if okay. I want some suggestions on what high level stages. Like where do we start from? The first things first. A user finds the product. So that's what are the high level stages we can use for this journey? Like what are some key stages, some key points or interactions that our users are journeying through? Ada. Okay, so I want raise up your hand if you're going to volunteer. If you're not volunteering, I'm going to call somebody. Hey, Faith. Faith, are you there? Faith. I don't know if she's here
Hello,
with
ma.
us. Yeah, are you here with us?
Can hear you, ma.
Good evening. Are you here with us?
Good evening, ma. I can hear you, ma. Good evening, ma. Hello.
Hello, are you here with us?
Good evening, ma. I can hear you, ma.
Oh, okay, Faith,
Can you
can
hear
you?
me?
I can hear you, Faith, but I
Okay.
doubt you can hear me.
I can hear you, ma.
All right. So, are you with us? Like, do you know where we are?
Yes, ma. You asked a question that what would be the interactive this thing for a
Yeah.
cooking
The,
recipe app.
yes, yes. It could be an application. It could just be just a website, or it could be a blog where you find recipes on just looking for cooking recipes online. Like you want it online. Doesn't mean it has to be an application. So, what are the touch points that you can identify? What are the key stages that you can think of?
Like, give me an example, ma.
Okay, I am a let's say I'm a bachelor. I mean, I'm a probably 27-year-old man. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm having guests over this evening. So I want to get a cooking recipe online, uh, something good, something good and quickly for my guests. Yeah. So now
Okay, ma.
you being Faith, you have a product, you have a cooking recipe website.
Okay, ma.
So now, so now I want you to describe my journey on finding your website and using your website. So what are the key touch points? Like, how do I get to meet you? How do I get to use you? Use you as in your product, not you as a person. Sorry. So what are the key stages? That how do you think I as a bachelor, it will be a bachelor using my phone, how do you think I would get okay, first question, how do you think I would see your product? How do you think I would find your cooking website?
Through ads.
Ads. Okay, ads on where?
Ads on maybe sites for bachelors.
Hmm?
So
Ads. No, 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 no. Let's go back. Ads. Like, how did I see the ads? Remember, you're describing the whole journey. Yeah, where did I see the ad to like ad for your website? Where did I see it? It has left me.
I'm with you, but I'm not following.
Okay. All right. Who else wants to try? Who wants to try?
Let me see.
Desmond. Okay.
She was right by saying um you start by creating ads. That's a form of awareness. You can,
Mm.
make use of social medias, such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and
Okay.
the rest of them. TikTok, put it out there that you have an app that runs that makes cooking, you know,
Yeah.
reviews and tutorials about how to make meals. And then
Okay. Oh,
on
hold on.
those
Hold
ads,
on. Hold on. Hold on. What you're describing is not. You're talking from you as a designer's perspective. I want you to describe my journey as the user's
as the
journey.
user,
Yes, exactly. So I told you that I have guests this evening. I want to cook. What's the first thing I would do? And I'm looking
I'll
for
go and
recipes
search. I'll
online.
go and search how to make
Exactly.
particular meal.
Exactly. The first step we are going to the first key stage we're going to be looking at here is search.
Yeah.
So now we're not looking at adverts or advert is like something you see by chance because now
Okay.
I'm the
So
one
this
looking
is
for
out of
you.
instinct. I'm looking for
Exactly,
it.
exactly, exactly. You're looking for it. Your ad is not looking for me. I'm not looking for you.
Okay.
So I have to search. The first stage
Yes.
here is search. So after search, what next? What do we think?
After search, I believe you would obviously search for the one which you feel works for you,
Okay.
which will lead you to probably watching the video or watching the
Mm,
tutorial about how to make that particular meal.
I like that. I like that.
And then most likely once you're done, it's ideal to drop a review or a comment about how you benefited from that video or
Okay.
how you were able to make the meal you wanted to do with the help of the video you ended up
Exactly.
searching on.
Yeah, but in that sentence, in this your last sentence, you jumbled up like three different stages here. Hmm?
Three
So
different
first of all,
stages.
yes, you jumbled two different stages. Let me show you how. When you found the recipe that you're looking for, so now cook. Now you're going to cook the recipe. So cooking the recipe now is actually a key stage.
A stage on its
It's not,
own.
yes, it's not digital, but it also affects how they would perceive you or how helpful your recipe was because when they cook it and following your recipe it was good enough or it came out well, it tasted good. Following your recipe, that's what will give them the chance or
To want to
what
look
am I
for
saying?
more.
To look for more or to give good reviews or to recommend it to others.
Okay.
So are you saying it? So that cooking is also a key stage here. Mm.
Okay.
So for the cooking stage, now why it's important that this cooking is a key stage because you can now identify pain points. Maybe your recipe is too long, unnecessarily long, or it requires too much ingredients, or it uses too exotic ingredients. They would have problems with the cooking stage. You can now identify
Okay.
opportunities here on how you can improve your application.
So I want to ask, does the cooking stage affect the reviews and um the um the referrals?
Okay, let me ask you now. You are me. You are the 27-year-old bachelor, and you use my recipe and you followed it to a T, and you cooked, and nobody liked the food. It was terrible, basically. And now you don't know whether the fault is from you or from the recipe. But would you go back to that recipe? Like, what are the
No, I
chances that you
wouldn't.
would refer exactly? What are the chances that you would refer that application to another person?
Very slim.
Very slim, exactly. So that should answer your question.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Desmond. Patrick, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. All right, okay, so let's see the one. Okay, now so this is basic what Dan said or what Desmond described. We want to buy the ingredients. So when I mentioned that some ingredients might be exotic, might be expensive. So this is where you can also give users different choices. Because now we have outlined that buying ingredients is a key stage users' journey. And we might identify points that some ingredients might be exotic or might be expensive, might not be available in their location. Now, opportunity here is to have different recipe alternatives or different alternatives for some ingredients in your recipes or easier ways to cook it. Maybe you can be like the same meal, but this is a shorter method. This is a faster method. So this is how we just identify. This is how we have just analyzed one key stage and have been able to get opportunities here to make our application better for our users. So the key stages here, you have search. You search for the application. Now you read the recipe. Now you have found the recipe. You have found the website, and now you are reading the recipe. So for this, now you might have reading the recipe. The key things that we should note here is making the recipe as clear as possible, making it something you can easily increase the font size. You could also include this screen reader, something like so that the person can just place their phone in the kitchen and the recipe is being read out loud. But there's some people that like to cook like that. They might not want to take their phone into the kitchen, so you might have the option to include screen readers or audio readers rather for it. So read the recipe, then buy or get the ingredients. Yeah? So depending on what application you're building, if it's a very local application, you can even add links. Simple. Patrick, can you fight? I would. You did not reply when I told people to unmute their mic. I'll call you soon. Don't worry. Um. So now buy or get the ingredients. Yeah. So if your application is a very local application, you can even make the option of linking, adding links, get the product, maybe bulk purchases to get the product or to get the ingredients that for that meal. So now cook. So now this is the journey of the user. They have searched, they have found the recipe. Okay, let's get the ingredients. They have gotten it. Now they are cooking. Then they are eating, and after eating, what are their thoughts and emotions? Did they like it? Did they not like it? Then there's another addition here: the reviews, their reviews or their feedback. Is it something that they want to go back to? This is where you had loyalty or advocacy, rather. So, like I said, the phases down here are usually similar. It's always the same. Their actions, emotion, thoughts, pain points, opportunities, touch points. So it's usually these high level stages that changes depending on what application you're building it for. Yeah. So now search. So users action. So now I have a meal in mind. I'm not just searching how to cook food. Go. I can search based maybe a dish I want to cook, or maybe I want to cook based on an ingredient I have. Maybe like rice. I have rice. I want to make something with rice, or based on diet restriction. Maybe if the visitors I'm having are vegetarians, they don't eat meat, so I want to cook something that they would like. So I would search it on that. Those are the decisions I'm taking at this point. So the recipe, reading the recipe, you can either decide to print it. This is where I include where I mentioned the audio reader, so which can read out the recipe for you. Now, when you read the recipe, you're just going to evaluate it like based on this recipe. I'm going to evaluate it based on do I actually have the tools or the ingredients in my kitchen to cook this? Do I have the time? Would it be enough for the people I'm cooking? Those are the thoughts that will be going through your head when you're reading the recipe. Then now you buy the ingredients. Actions here, you go to a store, you check the list of ingredients, you cross check, then you cook, you buy. Mm. So now this is the full user journey map. Yeah. So search action, you can search based on an ingredient, you read the preview, you can filter. Emotions, they are neutral and curious. So it's possible to be neutral, like you just open your phone, you go to your search engine, that's Google, and you type in something. You might just be neutral. You're not hesitant, you're not most of the awareness stages that we have been describing before, the feelings that were there mostly was uncertainty, being hesitant and unsure. But for this situation now, you're just searching. So what harm can there be in searching? You might just be hungry. So your search like you said, search your emotions here is hungry. So now from this from these emotions you can have the insight that someone searching will probably be hungry. So they want something short, something as quick as possible. They don't want to start seeing ads when they are hungry. So pain point here, bad SEO. My recipe is lost between too many results. Bad reviews, slow loading, too many ads, no results. So now this user now might not, when they search on Google Play Store, you they might see a lot of nonsense that they'll have to filter through. They might find something that looks good, and when they click on it, they see ads. So these are pain points that might not let the user stick to your application. So opportunities here, you have strong SEO, that's search engine optimization, cross devices compatibility. That's when compatible your site is compatible with every device. So finding back previously visited recipes. As for search, maybe so now this opportunity here is for returning customers who like you have searched for something before and you have used something before. So now if your website is optimized, your website will come up again for the users because they have searched for it before. You know how we go to everybody should be familiar with this. You go to Chrome to search for something and the first thing you see is what you have searched for before. Mm. Sometimes you might even forget maybe yes you have used a website that you liked but you did not save it, you did not star it, did not tag it anywhere. So you're kind of lost. But you go to Google and you search for something similar, hoping that that website comes up again. Yeah, so the touch points here, like I said, touch points are what we interact with. So the search engine where you are searching on is a touch point. So searching on a site that you know is also a touch point. So the site might refer the person to your application. So that's just the whole summary of a user journey map. Yeah. So at each stage, it's something that you would have to sit down and really, really, really do. Like you just have to sit down and fill in. Yeah, because the amount of insight that can be gotten here, it's a lot and to be rewarding in the ideation stage. So yeah, that's it for user journey map. I don't want to start going over everything in details, but I hope you have gotten the general idea of the user journey map. So is there any questions? Is there any more questions? I was still confused. So the user journey map would be the last defined step or defined method we'll be talking about. Next, on Thursday rather, I would go into problem statements, like how to actually define or to get your clear, precise problem statement. Like it's that important that we have to have a class on it, like about problem statement, how to craft a clear problem statement that's going to guide the whole design direction. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. Then by next week, we're going to get into ideation. That next month, ideation. We have done empathize. We are defining now, and the next step is ideation. So that's when we'll start brainstorming, crazy eight. Yeah. So everybody should start downloading Figma. If you do not have it already, download Figma because we'll be using FigJam, which is a part of Figma for the ideation process. So by the time we get there, we'll go through the whole onboarding and setting up our Figma document. Can we use the web version? Yes, Patrick, you can use the web version. Totally fine if you use the web version. Mm. So yeah, so any question? Patrick, please unmute your mic. All right. So is there any other question? So we can end the call if there's no other question. Patrick, practice makes perfect. Yeah. So if you can't speak well, you learn to speak well by. So we're already done with this class, but I will still see you in the next class. So if we do not have any other question, that would be the end of this session. Good night. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Joyce. Yeah. Unmute your mic.